I'm legally insane. And I need everybody out there to stop what you're doing right now. This is not a drill. I need you to put a diaper on. Adult size, extra large, extra absorbent. You're going to thank me later. Because today, right now, you are watching bonus episode 6 of my 69 Xbox 360 game prices are going up series. And I got some real heavy hitters for you guys right now. You are going to need a gun. 6 bullets in the chamber, in addition to the diaper. Okay? I'm only giving you one warning because you're going to be blowing your balls off. There's something in here in this list of games that I brought. Oh, friggin' hell, everything in here is pretty good, actually. But there's 2 games in here in particular that are some real gems that you probably didn't know the price was going up. And I'm going to tell you why the price is going up, why it has gone up, and why it will continue to go up. And I've been screaming from the hilltops for over 2 years now, I think, about Xbox 360 prices going up and why they're still cheap today. I'm not going to get into that in this video. There's 100 other videos that you can watch in this series. Link in the description below for those that are new. Go back to episode 1. I made a mistake. I got this mixed up with my Nintendo Wii prices series. This is actually bonus episode number 5. Bonus episode number 5. Game number 1 for this episode. Get that diaper on. You might want to double up. Believe it or not, Need for Speed Carbon, and hold up. I already know what you're thinking. Buddy, I already know because I used to say it myself. You're thinking, there ain't no way that game's worth anything. Need for Speed? Pfft, come on, buddy. That ain't Need for Speed Most Wanted. That's worthless like all the other Need for Speed games. Right? There's a lot of them aren't worth all that much. So many people out there miss the opportunity to buy rare games, uncommon games, highly sought after games for cheap because they think that they're always going to be cheap. When you see a game that was, say, $5 and you see that it's been $5 for 5 years, 10 years, they don't understand that, well, there's a generational timeline that occurs, and when a game hits a certain age, the market wakes up, buddy. It ain't going to be $5 forever. And that's kind of what happened with Need for Speed Carbon. There's a couple other factors leading to what's going on, though, and I'm going to get into all of the detail. So let's get through some of the basics first. Need for Speed Carbon came out on the 360 and other consoles in 2006. It's also on the 360 and the PS3. But the 360 is the definitive version. There's also a collector's edition. We will go through that as well. The PS3 does not have the collector's edition. The collector's edition is the definitive edition. The PS2 does have it, but this, by default, becomes the definitive edition because it's on the 360, so it has the better graphics and better performance. This will be the highly sought-after version. It's also important to quickly point out that this game was removed from online stores in 2021. You cannot get this digitally, and I don't think it's ever coming back. A lot of these racing games are games that, in general, that have been delisted. They're generally delisted because the rights to something has expired. Usually it's related to cars, license deals that they had with cars, or soundtracks. Those are the most common reason that games in general get delisted. Need for Speed Carbon being a direct sequel to the storyline of Need for Speed Most Wanted is important because have a look at Need for Speed Most Wanted. This is a very sought after game. It is not rare, but as mentioned many times before, a game doesn't need to be rare to become a $200, $300, $400, $500 game. Just look at some of the Silent Hill games as an example. None of them are rare. Not a single one is, quote, rare as in it had a low print run. Not a single one. But they're very sought after because they're very good games. Need for Speed Most Wanted is arguably the best Need for Speed game ever made. And it has one of the best charts ever made for a retro game, in fact. And it bottomed out in roughly, most games of this generation bottomed out in 2018. This one seemed to have had one final dip and officially bottomed October 2019, and you could have paid $15 US. This chart is in US dollars. Down here is the current price in Canadian dollars. It's currently worth 100 Canadian dollars CIB, if you can even get a copy for that price, by the way. Recent sold listings go as high as $150. So, yeah, if you can even get one, because it probably doesn't include shipping and taxes on top of that. Trading for roughly $69.99. Dang.
What did he say?
USD. So that equates to $100. So this is important because this game is going up because it's gaining popularity every single month, year, and day that passes. The game is gaining popularity because it's a good game. It holds up. Like I said, it is arguably the best Need for Speed game ever made. So it will continue to go up. I mentioned this in my original 69, and I mentioned it for a reason. And that's important. I told you Need for Speed Carbon is a sequel, which means it's riding the coattails of Need for Speed Most Wanted. And it is also gaining a cult following. It was also significantly more ignored by the market than Most Wanted. It's never had the fame that Most Wanted had. But that is changing. Hell, some people might tell you that this is even better than Most Wanted. I don't know if that's true, and I don't necessarily agree with that. But it has additional features that were not in Most Wanted. So there are differences between the two games. There's some negatives that come with Need for Speed Carbon, and that may have been why the market sort of rejected it at the time. So if Need for Speed Most Wanted is on its way to $200, where do you think Need for Speed Carbon's going? And hell, this is the garbage version, by the way. Even the garbage version has a trend going higher, and it's been going on for a long time now. It used to be a $10 US dollar game. Now it's $22, 31 Canadian. It's been trending slow and steady, but this is the version you don't even want. This isn't even the rare sought-after version. Here's what you really want. Need for Speed Carbon, and it's significantly higher. And this is the definitive version. This is the version that will go easily to $100, $150 if Need for Speed Most Wanted continues its trajectory. This will do nothing but follow, and even if it didn't continue its trajectory, this would likely follow regardless and eventually match Need for Speed Most Wanted, dollar for dollar. That is my personal theory. If in that scenario, I think that this would continue to trend higher regardless. But Need for Speed Carbon is gaining fame thanks to Need for Speed Most Wanted. And this game, it was criticized for having a lack or underutilizing police chases. That's the one thing that reviewers were angry about, gamers were angry about at the time of release. Now, the collector's edition, though, this comes with a bonus DVD that showcases all of the cars in the game. But it comes with more than the bonus DVD. It's the definitive version because they added 6 new races. They added 3 additional unique challenge events. They added new cars, whole bunch of 4 brand new cars and 10 pre-tuned cars. And they added new customizable items in addition to that. So a lot of new content. So the main difference between this and Need for Speed Most Wanted is in Need for Speed Carbon, they have a brand new mode called Canyon Events. And this is like the people that love Need for Speed Carbon, this is where the fun is. This is where the most memories lie. This mode was really fun. Basically, it's special racing events where players race on canyon roads outside of the game's main city. Another thing to take note of is that these older Need for Speed games, okay, not just Carbon, it goes beyond that. Most Wanted, hell, I'll throw in Need for Speed Underground 1 and 2. These games are still very popular to this day. If you're wondering why aren't people buying the new Need for Speed games? Why are people going back to Need for Speed Carbon? Right? Like, haven't they improved Need for Speed since that time? These games are ancient compared to these newer gen Need for Speed games. They're pumping them out like candy these days. Well, I mean, they always have. They've always pumped them out like candy. But believe it or not, these old games are actually better than the modern games. Back then, they refined these games, and those physics have never been replicated to that level since. So that's why a lot of people are going back to these older Need for Speed games. And that's why these prices are going up for these particular games. And like I said before, you know, as more and more people find out about them, like Need for Speed Carbon, I didn't know anything about this back in the day. I didn't own this game back in the day. I never played it back in the day. And yet 10 years later, 20 years later, I got 2 copies, right? Mind you, I got lucky on my collector's edition. I got it in a bundle with a 360. I knew it was a rare game. I knew the price was going up. And also got another copy, but one of these is not CIB. But when I combine the two, they are CIB. So there's no manual with this one. Only got the insert. So my other one has a manual. You know, I got actual tards in the comments every now and then that think all the prices are going down. Yet the actual facts, data, and statistics, you know, actual numbers, math, the math says otherwise. Last time I checked, what's this going for? I gotta take my shades off. All right, let's do the math right now. Last time I checked, $45.40 US. That last time I checked, you know, when I was in like grade 2, hell, grade 1, this number is actually higher than this number. This number here says $15.50, and last time I checked, $45 was significantly higher than $15. Next up, we have a very rare game that you did not know about and or you had no idea just how rare it is. A very uncommon game, and I'll go as far, I think it's beyond that of an uncommon game. I think it goes into the rare category. And I think it had and I think the reason is, I think it had a very low print run. And I'll go through my evidence on why I think that as I discuss this game. Ski-Doo Snowmobile Challenge. Oh yeah, still got the sticker on it. I paid 20. Okay, camera's not gonna pick that up. That's from the pawn shop. I paid 20 Canadian dollars. Mint condition, by the way. This thing was never even played. See, it's still got those stickers on the side. I think the original owner maybe played it one time. I'm not even kidding. I don't know what his deal was. Maybe it's because Maybe it's because either he thought the game sucked, which many did back then, or he, got it for Christmas or whatever and just wasn't into snowboarding or, snowmobile games, Ski-Doo games. I don't know what the reason being is, but yes, it did get absolutely horrific reviews. It got a 4.5 out of 10 from official Xbox magazine. It got a 6.4 out of 10 from IGN and a 3.5 from, what's that? Who's that from? Wrote this down. Cheat Code Central. That's who it was. Okay, so the game originally came out in 2009 for the PS3 and the Wii, not the 360. I don't know why. I wish I did. If anybody knows the mystery behind why the release dates were vastly different, none of the console release dates were the same, in fact. And there was a 1-year timeline difference from the time this 360 version came out. And that's important because what I think happened was I think the sales were very poor on the Wii and the PS3, and they might have been unexpectedly poor. It's not a AAA title. It was never meant to be a AAA title. It's more of a budget title, but they did a really good job, clearly, with the budget that they were working with, right? This ain't developed and published by Microsoft. This ain't no $50 million Grand Theft Auto budget, okay? I mean, just look at the name. It's got such a generic name. Okay? That should tell you enough. Ski-Doo Snowmobile Challenge. Like, what a name. Right? Very generic. But it's a solid game, by the way. It's solid. Okay? It has flaws, but it's solid. Graphics look great. Frame rate could use some work, but you still get a sense of speed. The people that whine about the frame rate, I don't care about the frame rate. As long as I feel like I'm going fast, it feels authentic, the physics are good. These snowmobile games are all about physics. It's like Wave Race. Wave Race was popular because of the physics engine. The racing was popular because of the physics. Nobody cares how fast you're going on a freaking jet ski, buddy. Okay? This ain't Need for Speed. What do you think? What do you think you're going to be going 300 miles an hour on a friggin' Ski-Doo? So what I think happened was the sales were unexpectedly low for the other consoles, and I think the 360 version had a shorter print run. They cut the print run. They realized, hey, holy hell, this thing ain't selling very good. Whatever we originally thought we were going to print, 50,000 copies, let's just say, cut it in half, bare bones minimum, 25,000. Maybe the original print run was planned to be 25,000. They probably said, cut that down, 15,000, we're out. Print it and get out, we're done, this thing ain't selling. And I can prove my theory. I got evidence to back that up. For starters, let's look at the 360 chart. Okay? It's a rare game that's obviously gaining popularity, or the price wouldn't be going up. Okay, I think people are realizing that this is a hard-to-get game. It's not sought after. The price is going up for a game that's not even heavily sought after. Like, nobody even knows about this game. Nobody. Nobody's ever wanted this game. And maybe it does suck. Let's just go with the assumption that the game is absolute garbage, even though I don't think it's quite that bad. I think it's actually pretty decent. Well, even if it's garbage, it's still rare. And there's a lot of collectors out there that want and do collect for the 360 quite heavily, meaning they don't want the PS3 version. They want the 360 version because they're collecting for the 360. They prefer the 360 version and they will pay a premium to get it. Because it's rare. They're forced to pay a premium. They don't want to pay a premium, but they're forced to pay it and they will pay it for that reason. I'm one of them. I collect way more heavily for the 360 than I do the PS3. I'm collecting both consoles, but my preference is always the 360. The rarity is somewhat proven. My theory is, for starters, proven with the very low price of the 360 or the PS3 version, which has actually been downtrending since 2023, roughly. It seems to have bottomed out. It's had a bounce back. Maybe it's because 360 collectors are saying, screw that, I want this game, but I ain't paying $40 for it. So they're coming over to the PS3 and saying, all right, I'll give you $15 for it, sure. Maybe they're jumping ship trying to get the cheaper copy. Like, if you just want to play the game, and you don't care what console you play it on, this is a great alternative. And if the 360 price continues to rise, at some point, the PS3 is going to ride those coattails. And it may have already started. It's already riding the coattails. But it's not rare. It will never... I don't think the print run was as high, and I don't think that the PS3 version will ever catch up dollar for dollar. And I have further proof that the 360 version is quite rare. Here's a very unique post I found on GameFAQ. This is from way back in the day. What's the date on this? 15 years ago. 15 freaking years ago, this guy posted this. And look at the title. Finally got a copy. Great game. So he bought it back in the day, 15 years ago, when this was a brand new game. And I'm going to read some of this. This game was very hard for me to find. No store within several hours' drive of my house had a copy, and I had been trying to get one since release day. So that screams the developer must have known this game didn't sell very good. They had a year's worth of data to decide if this was a popular game or not. He says, I finally ordered it online after giving up finding it in stores. The poor guy couldn't even find a copy. Period. Didn't exist. You could not get one in a store. The stores that had them had so few copies. Basically, if you didn't buy it on release day, you didn't get a copy, period, unless you went online. None of the 5 GameStops I called ever got a single copy in. And none of the box stores even had it listed as something they would carry. Guys, this game is rare as hell on the 360. Now, and whether the game is good or not is an eye of the beholder thing. Like I said, some people like it, some people hate it. So if you bash it in the comments, well, you might hate it, but other people find it to be rather enjoyable, okay? Just know that it's not a AAA game. Yeah, so, onto the game itself, Ski-Doo is definitely worth the effort to track down. If you're a racing fan. Oh yeah, and this guy played Sledstorm. I enjoy racing games of about any type. And Sledstorm, which is a much more famous, commonly known game, provided me with many hours of entertainment back in the day. This game is superior to Sledstorm in some ways. Now, this game did get bashed heavily for being difficult, and this guy does address that. Some of these tracks are very difficult. You cannot just gun it in this game. More skill is involved in Ski-Doo than the majority of car-based racing games. And more importantly, there is a bit of a learning curve in learning to control the vehicles, and there is a need to play through the tracks a couple of times to learn them. So I wanted to point that out because I think that the reviews at the time, those horrific reviews it got and everybody bashing it, I have a suspicion, because this was very common back then, that they didn't give it a fair shot because of the difficulty. And probably a lot of players. They turn it in, they're expecting an arcade, just push A and gun it, R trigger, gun it, I'm going fast. This is like Mario Kart. I just push go and I win and I get first place. And that's not what this is. Physics are good, graphics are good, soundtrack is good. Soundtracks are very important to racing games. I learned that with Need for Speed Underground. I think that my personal favorite Need for Speed games are Underground because of the soundtracks. Here is the soundtrack if you want to know in advance. So if you like if you recognize any songs or tracks on here, and this is your style of music, you might especially enjoy this game. Because the music was very heavily praised. This game does have good music. It's good racing music. Racing music is only certain songs or certain genres will match a racing game. You're not going to get Final Fantasy music in a racing game, right? You need a certain style of music. But I also want to point out that there's other similar snowmobile games that are a little bit rare on a very specific console, such as Polaris Snowcross, specific to the N64 version. This is the rare version. This is the sought-after version. This version costs more than the PlayStation version. And this version trades for a lot of money. So even these racing games that you thought were going to be $5 forever and the price was never going to go up because you listened to some moron on YouTube or you invented it in your own brain because you're broke and you can't afford to buy these games. So you're pissed off that you can't afford to buy anything because you screwed up and you're broke and that's a you problem that you need to fix. Well, these prices do go up. They do go up. And people with money buy them. People with money paid $37 Canadian for this game. People with money are even collecting the complete in box price for a friggin' arm and a leg. I'm not buying that one. Elon Musk is out there buying up all those copies. And here's another, sports game that at one point everyone thought was worthless. Yeah, it's not a snowmobile game. It's not a Ski-Doo game, but yeah, it's a winter game, and it's a little bit of a rare one. It's not a common one. Came out in year 2000. That's considered a pretty late release for the N64. Lifespan of the N64 wasn't all that great. Gotta take my shades off, it's hard to see. But next up we got Ben 10. Vilgax Attacks. Alien Force. Ben 10 Alien Force. This is also on the PS2 and a couple other consoles, but it's not on the PS3. So this is a 360 exclusive for that generation. Meaning, this is the definitive version of this game. And this is another game that you probably saw in the pawn shop or the retro game store at one point in time, and you saw it for $5 and you didn't pick it up. Or you thought it was $5 and you didn't pick it up. Or you thought it would never go up in value. And you thought wrong because some of these Ben 10 games are actually quite good, underrated, and they're gaining popularity as well. I mean, this is a pretty solid chart. This is a beautiful, slow and steady riser. No insane overnight swings, no parabolic moves, no Metal Jesus shouting this game out saying it's the best video game ever made. And 10,000 people go rushing in to buy it. That's not what's going on here. This came out in 2009. It's also on the PS2, remember. This came out in 2009, and it's basically a beat-em-up style action game / puzzle game. There's a lot of puzzles in this game, and you have to use the aliens effectively to solve the puzzles. Nothing too difficult, but it does add a unique element to the game, utilizing the aliens for more than just combat. It's a God of War style action game without having the God of War budget. Okay? Doesn't have the God of War budget. So if you want God of War, go buy God of War. But if you want something unique and you like Ben 10, if you're a big Ben 10 fan, this at the time was the first Ben 10 game that let you actually be 10 aliens in the same game. And the action is, it's a very, very fun game. The combat, it's the first Ben 10 game that was actually really good. That basically summarizes this game. The very first one that was really good. where they started to master the formula on how to make a good Ben 10 game. If you want to know if you would like this game, I tell people to play it for 5 minutes because they do give you all of the aliens, access to use all of the aliens for a very short time. And so based on that, you'll probably fall in love with the game because that's what happened to me. I played the first level and I said, oh, this is like actually really fun being able to play as all these aliens. That's kind of the whole gimmick of Ben 10, right? Like that's why Ben 10 is fun. That's the only reason I even play Ben 10 games. And the only reason I even watched the show, the OG Ben 10. Chart looks good, but I want to I'm going to prove to you that this game is gaining popularity and very likely will continue its slow grind as it gains more and more fame and people find out that this is actually a fun game. And it's not just the 360 version being overly rare or anything like that. It's not quite on the same level as Ski-Doo Challenge. Because even the PS2 version has also been climbing. Like, people are even after this version, even though there's a superior 360 version available. Meaning it's so popular that people are even buying this inferior copy. The chart doesn't look quite as good, but it's still an expensive game. 28 Canadian. What's that in USD? $20 USD. And that's, like I said, if you can even get it for that price. You have to pay taxes and or shipping sometimes. This probably had free shipping, $19.99. Usually the flat price ones usually include shipping. So it's about $20. Should be able to get a copy. But why would you want the PS2 version when you can get the 360 version? Or, oh, frig, the same friggin' price. Holy hell. Dang. Well, not necessarily, though. $40 copy sold over here, USD. Dang, yeah. I mean, it's getting harder and harder to find. So on the topic of Ben 10, don't sleep on Ben 10. This is a fun game. But interestingly enough, they made it basically a sequel called Ben 10 Cosmic Destruction. And this game, now I don't have a CIB copy, unfortunately. I wish I did. This is not an exclusive to the 360. Whereas this one is for that generation, meaning this is the definitive version. This one also has a PS3 version, though. But I want to bring up Ben 10 Cosmic Destruction because many have said that this is Ben 10. This is the same as the previous game, but it's improved. So same style of game. I think it was the same developer. Don't quote me on if it was the same developer or not. But the point is they basically took the exact same formula and tried to improve it. Better combat mechanics in particular. And more opportunities to save your game mid-level. That was important too because you don't have to play for a very long period of time to ensure that you actually beat the level to be able to save your game. So a couple of minor improvements, but they're actually big improvements. Like they're little things that go a very long way. So this is arguably the much better Ben 10 game. And the 360 version is different from the PS3 version in that each version has one exclusive alien. I think the PS3 version has the four-armed alien, I think. And I forget which alien the 360 version has. Another thing to be aware of for all you old man gamers is both of these Ben 10 games have a lot of cheats that you can use. Go on GameFAQ. I like to cheat. I don't care. The Ben 10 Vilgax Attacks has a cheat that you can unlock all of the aliens. So just be aware that there are nice cheat codes. Where's the PS3? Play as forearms. How to unlock beat the game. Yeah, so PS3 has forearms. Where's 360? All characters. Oh, there's one. There's a nice cheat code. AI does double damage and player does half. I don't think so, buddy. I don't want to play on hard mode. I want easy mode. Wrath, I believe, is the exclusive character for the 360, if I'm not mistaken. And the chart don't look bad on this game either. It's kind of riding the coattails of the other Ben 10 game, or they're both going up together. $25 US is the current price. Canadian, that's 35. Dang, man. Yeah, dang. It's just a slow and steady game. It's something to keep an eye on. I'm bringing this up because I think a slow creep up like this will continue in the long term. So if you want to get a copy for $30 today or $35 today, and you don't want to pay $50 or $69 tomorrow, you might want to pick a copy up. Let's go back to Ben 10 Vilgax Attacks. Currently, yeah, this one's even more expensive, $40. Oh, look at that. Recent sold listing, $56. Oh, dang, one for only $30 though. Wow. 50, but oh, okay, wild swings here. But like I said, I don't know what includes shipping, what doesn't. But it looks like, and condition plays a role. It's some pretty wild swings. So anywhere from 30 to $50 is standard rate at this point. $50, $50, $40, probably not CIB. 50, 50, 50, 56. Oh, dang, man. Yeah, so it's a $50 game. 30 down here, though. Was that an auction? Is this guy an idiot? Did an auction? Oh, wow. No, very good price. Wow. I would have bought that. Good condition, too. Very good. Holy hell, man. Underpriced for sure, buddy. Dang, some lucky son of a bitch bought that. $38 with shipping to Canada. Wow. Or best offer. I wonder if he even took a best offer. Dang, man. Mint condition by the looks of it. Very, very good price. So that's proof that, hey, if you're patient, that's the other thing. If you're patient, you don't need to go and buy like whatever copy is available right away. You can wait. You can add things to your watch list. You don't need to overpay for games. Some of these rare games and less common games, yeah, sometimes they're hard to get, and you just got to be patient. Like, don't just if there's one copy available and it's $100, but the last sold listing was $37, don't pay $100. Wait and see if somebody posts another copy. Be patient when you're buying these games. Don't feel like you have to rush in right away. But at the same time, yeah, if it is a rare game, I'm just saying, don't wait too long either. Like if you're waiting for Ben 10 to come down to $20 and you're like, oh, I'll just wait till it's 20. I'll wait till it's 30. I'll get it for 30. Well, you might not actually get it for 30. Aim for 40 at least, right? Be realistic with what you're doing, but you don't need to pay $200 for Ben 10. That's all I'm saying. I haven't played Cosmic Destruction, but I've seen the reviews and I actually saw the developers talking about the game. They're doing like a little mini documentary talking about their logic and what they were trying to accomplish with allowing you to do combos with the aliens. Like their purpose, their main goal was to have it so that you could like be the little alien, run up, do some little combo, and then immediately switch to a larger enemy or larger aliens, finish them off with some big smash or whatever. They want it to be like the show, I guess, like some superhero Marvel stuff going on where you're just doing these insane combos, switching seamlessly between the aliens. That was their goal. They accomplished it somewhat, right? Like they want to make you feel like you're Ben 10. So anyways, guys, I know I went way too long on this video. Let me know if it was too long, because I can shorten these up. I can easily shorten these up. I can give you a deep dive info, or I can shorten it up significantly and throw more games into one video. I've been experimenting with the deep dive concept where I go into a very high detail on each individual game. Also, I have an Xbox 360 rap song and video. Link in the description below. Check that out and consider subscribing to the channel. Trying to get to over 9,000 subscribers. In addition to, just if you are so inclined, think about joining the Patreon.
Yo, mom's the plug, she got the hook up, no lie. At the 7-Eleven dumpster, I buy and buy. Splatterhouse, Blue Dragon, got them in my stash. Buying red games from your mom, what I want, she has. Xbox 360 prices going up, but we ain't stressing, gon' fill up our cups. Buy low and sell high, that's the game we play. Co-op with your mom every single day, cause the Xbox 360 prices going up, but we ain't stressing, gon' fill up our cups. Buy low and sell high, that's the game we play. Co-op with your mom every single day.